Welcome to the Olympus Report, demigods, monsters, and gods alike. These are supposed to be kids' books, right? Here's some of the darkest moments from the RIordanVerse. Number 5. Hearthstone kills his father. Hearthstone's father, Alderman, is not a good man by any means. He never accepted his son due to his deafness. When Hearthstone was a kid, his brother was murdered by a monster. Hearthstone realized what was happening too late since he was unable to hear. His father blamed him and never let him forget. After Alderman killed the monster, he made Hearthstone skin the beast and then put a rug made of its hide in Hearthstone's room. But if that wasn't enough, Hearthstone had to complete chores to earn coins. Only once the rug was covered could Hearthstone be free. But he also had to use the coins to pay for things such as food and clothes. So Alderman is not a good guy, but that still didn't mean that Hearthstone wanted to kill his father. In the novel The Ship of the Dead, Alderman has transformed into a dragon from greed.
Buddy. Blitz shifted uncomfortably. This is your dad. Not anymore. Hearth, I signed. Some way to get Whetstone without killing the dragon? Not the point. Dragons can live for centuries. I can't leave him like that. His pale eyes moistened. With a shock, I realized he was crying. Hearth wasn't just angry. He didn't want vengeance. Despite everything Alderman had done to him, Hearthstone didn't want his dad to suffer as a twisted monster.
As an act of mercy, Hearthstone asks Magnus for help. Together they are able to kill the now beast. Hearthstone summons a vision of his brother to distract his father, and then Magnus and Jack make the final blow in a truly heart-wrenching scene where Hearthstone says goodbye to the only family he had left. Number 4. Leo's mother's death. Being a demigod typically means you need to suffer just a little bit, and this is no exception when it comes to Leo Valdez. Despite how hard Percy's upbringing was, he always had his mother on his side. But Leo lost his mother early on in the most brutal way possible. When Leo was 8, he and his mother were working late at her machine shop. The two were about to leave when Leo's mom realized she forgot her keys and ran back inside. Then the door seals shut. A voice taunts Leo, the voice of Gaia, telling him that his mother will die. So Leo tries to help. He attacks Gaia with fire but loses control and watches as the shop burns down with his mother inside, thinking it's his fault the entire time. And then afterwards is shunned by his family and passed from foster home to foster home until he finally finds peace and acceptance at the age of 16 at Camp Half-Blood. Number 3. Nico kills Bryce Lawrence. Bryce was sent by Octavian to track down Reyna and Nico and stop them from bringing the Athena Parthenon to Camp Half-Blood. At this point in the story, Nico and Reyna are almost to the point of exhaustion and have been cornered by Bryce and his undead army. Reyna, using her last bit of strength, strengthens Nico, and we see truly how terrifying the son of Hades can be.
Nico's rage exploded. Later, they told him what happened. All he remembered was the screaming. According to Reyna, the air around him dropped to freezing. The ground blackened. In one horrible cry, he unleashed a flood of pain and anger on everyone in the clearing. The rocks of the cairn turned white with frost. Bryce Lawrence stumbled, clutching his head, both nostrils bleeding. Please, that word didn't make sense to Nico. The underworld had no mercy, it only had justice. You're already dead, Nico said. You're a ghost with no tongue, no memory. You won't be sharing any secrets. No! Bryce's body turned dark and smoky. No, I am Bryce Lawrence. I'm alive! Who are you? Nico asked. The next sound from Bryce's mouth was a chattering whisper. His face became indistinct. He could have been anyone, just another nameless spirit among millions. "Begone," Nico said.
Nico essentially slows down time to the point of freezing. Nico, in an instant, destroys all the undead soldiers and then zombifies Bryce, slowly aging him to the point where his skin starts to decay and his bones turn to dust, watching as the life leaves his eyes and then banishing his soul to the underworld. Yeah, something truly out of a horror movie. Number 2, Annabeth goes blind. Pretty much anything from Annabeth and Percy's time in Tartarus could be on this list, but one of the most terrifying and darkest moments is when Percy and Annabeth encounter the Awry, the embodiment of curses. Every time you defeat an Awry, a curse is placed on you. A curse that was placed on you by someone in life. The curse then becomes a reality. One of the curses came from Polyphemus, who wished Annabeth would know what it's like to be blind and confused. Revenge for the trick Annabeth played on him in the Sea of Monsters. Annabeth, now blind, calls out for Percy, and Percy calls back, but Annabeth can't see or hear him. She desperately calls for him even though he's right there, thinking she's been abandoned, and there's nothing Percy can do.
The demon dissolved, but when Annabeth got to her feet, she looked stunned and afraid, as well as blind. "Percy?" she called, panic creeping into her voice. "I'm right here." He tried to put his hand on her shoulder, but she wasn't standing where he thought. He tried again, only to find she was several feet farther away. "Percy!" Annabeth's voice cracked. "Why did you leave me?" "I didn't." He turned on the Awry, his arms shaking with anger.
So overcome with grief at not being able to help Annabeth, Percy goes berserk and kills all the Awrys, taking on every curse himself, almost dying in the process. Thanks to Bob the Titan and Damison the Giant, our heroes are rescued and healed, but the psychological wounds I feel like are going to take just a tad bit longer to recover from. Number 1. Dark Percy. Throughout the 5 Percy Jackson books and most of the Heroes of Olympus, Percy is super hopeful and positive despite the situation. Yes, his life is unfair, but that doesn't stop him from always making the right choice. But in Tartarus, even the best of people can slowly start slipping to the dark side. The place is pure torture, meant to push your body and mind to the point of breaking. And at one point, Percy had had enough. Annabeth and Percy encounter Aklis, the goddess of misery and poison, and she tricks our heroes. She had promised them escape through the Mansion of Darkness, but once there, she attacked our heroes with poison, dashing all their hopes of making it back to the mortal world. And Percy snaps. He's done being good, and when he realizes that he can control the poison, well, I think this quote explains it best.
"Percy, stop!" I didn't want to stop. I wanted to choke this goddess. I wanted to watch her drown in her own poison. I wanted to see just how much misery could take.
Annabeth, overcome with sobs, can't stand to see Percy like this and begs him to come back to her. Percy, unable to see Annabeth like that, thankfully gets a hold of himself and the two escape. But oh man, was that close. So like I said, kids' books. But all joking aside, I think these darker tones is why these stories resonate so much with so many people. Heroes aren't perfect, and Rick doesn't pretend that they are. Which moments in the RIordanVerse did you think were the darkest? Let me know down in the comments below. But until next time, I'm signing off, so please always remember to stay safe.